Hi, everybody. Hassan Shariq, regulated Canadian immigration consultant, back with another video on Canadian immigration. In today's video, we're going to talk about the largest PNP program of Canada in terms of the number of applicants that they invite from outside of Canada. And the program is Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, and the subcategory is Human Capital Priorities Stream. So for details, stay tuned till the end of the video. Ontario, being the largest province of Canada, manages a PNP provincial nomination program whereby they attract a large number of skilled migrants from outside of Canada. And right now, with the competitive scores that are there for express entry, a lot of people are interested in knowing about various PNP programs available in Canada in 2021. And this particular program is a very attractive program. And under the OINP program, there are various streams. This particular stream is for skilled migrants who are outside of Canada. And this stream, as already mentioned earlier in the video, is called the Human Capital Priorities Stream. In this video, we're going to talk about the eligibility for this particular program or stream, the process that one has to follow in terms of application for this particular program. Then we'll discuss the stats, what are the numbers, what are the figures relevant to this, and at the end, most important piece, which is the specific knock codes or occupations which have a very good chance of being invited under this stream. So let's have a look at all of these in detail. So to begin with eligibility, first of all, I must tell that this particular program is express entry based. So the points that they calculate are the CRS points, and your application is picked from the express entry. So first eligibility point is that you have to meet the basic eligibility for express entry, and you have to meet the 67-point threshold that express entry has. On top of that, we have the work experience requirement. So work experience requirement is there for express entry in itself as well. For OINP Human Capital Priorities Stream, you are required to nominate your category either as CEC, somebody having the Canadian experience class, or the Federal Skilled Worker Program category, people with foreign experience. If you, so you are required to have at least 1 year of work experience. If you are applying under CEC, then this experience has to be within last 3 years from the time that you submit your OINP application. And in case of FSWP category, it has to be within the last 5 years from the time that you submit your OINP application. Now, this is a major distinction between express entry and OINP Human Capital Priorities Stream eligibility requirement, because in express entry, you're allowed to have that work experience from within last 10 years. But over here, it is 5 years and 3 years for FSWP and CEC respectively. After that, the requirement is your education. So for this particular category, you are required to have at least a bachelor's degree. So a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, or a PhD. Anything above bachelor's can work. Again, a distinction between express entry with express entry, even if you have a Canadian high school or equivalent to that, that is acceptable. For this, that's not the case, a minimum of a bachelor's. Important thing, if you have a foreign education, then you are required to have ECA for that. And your ECA must clearly state that the qualification that you have is equivalent to a Canadian bachelor's. If you've done a 3 years degree program somewhere in a university, but you don't get an ECA for which states that it is equivalent to a Canadian bachelor's, that does not help you meet the eligibility for this program. After that, language requirements, the basic eligibility is with CLB 7, the same language tests which are acceptable for express entry, English and French are acceptable. Your test must not have been taken 2 years before the date that you submit your OINP application. Proof of funds, you're required to show funds for yourself and your dependents that can cover the cost. These funds are based on the IRCC requirements. With OINP, you can actually use your bank statements and your earnings or job offer amount or salary amount for a job offer from within the province of Ontario. So say, for instance, you are already working in the province of Ontario and you've already earned $15,000 and you were required to show funds equal to, say, $30,000. If you've already earned $15,000 and you have $15,000 in bank, jointly this can be acceptable. And lastly, the eligibility requirement that is there is the intention to live in the province of Ontario. This can be proven by various means, like if you've studied in the province, you have a job offer, or you have family. But this is an important aspect which is assessed when you submit your application. Moving on towards the process in itself. So the process can depend on two different categories of applicants. One, people who've already started their process for express entry, and one who are just considering. So let's start with those who are just considering. So as I mentioned earlier, that this is an express entry based stream. So you have to fulfill the basic requirements or do the basic processes for express entry, which will include, first of all, having an ECA educational credential assessment completed for your qualifications. So if you've had your education from outside of Canada, you need to get an ECA done for your qualification. All the designated bodies that are there which can do an ECA for express entry applications are authorized to do an ECA for OINP applications as well. So second is your language requirement. So you need to sit for an English or a French language test. Again, the requirement is same as is for express entry. So any of these tests, once you have these two documents with you, your language results and your ECA, you move on to the next step, which is creation of your express entry profile. Now you create your express entry profile, and while you're creating your express entry profile, you're asked the question as to where would you intend to live, or which provinces and territories in Canada are you interested in settling in or being considered by. That is where you have to tick the province of Ontario, and then you can also tick all provinces and territories. And later on, there is a question where two particular provinces, the province of Ontario and British Columbia, there is a question if you would want IRCC to share your details with these two provinces immigration departments from your express entry profile. So you have to tick this. Once you've done that, you're part of the express entry pool, your profile is live, and you've ticked Ontario as an intended province, you're up and running in the race for this particular stream. Now, anybody who meets the basic eligibility, which I've mentioned earlier, they're not right away guaranteed a spot or a nomination for this particular stream. The way it works is that the province of Ontario, their immigration department, they enter the express entry pool from time to time. They look for specific profiles in terms of specific occupations, people with certain knocks that they believe are required in the province. And then they send out notifications of interest. So these NOIs are sent to people. There are draws all around the year. various draws. Last year, we had close to about 10 draws for this particular substream under OINP. Those who receive NOIs then have 45 days to submit documentation in support of all the claims that they provided in terms of their job, education, and all the previous history. There's a fee of 1,500 to 2,000 that you're supposed to pay for this particular stream. You pay the fee within 45 days, submit all the documents, and you submit your application. OINP has its own e-filing system, so you have to do that filing online. Once you submit your application, it will take a few months for the province to verify all that. And if you're successful, you will receive a provincial nomination from the province of Ontario. Now, because this is an express entry based program, once you receive that nomination, you update that in your express entry profile. As soon as it is updated, there is an addition of 600 CRS points, which will take you somewhere with the current scores that are there for OINP qualifying candidates. You're most likely going to hit 1,000 plus CRS score, which will take you at the top of express entry pool in the current situation. And then you just have to wait for another draw. And normally we've seen that lately we've had these specific PNP draws where people who have PNP nominations have been invited. So once you get, you receive an ITA under the express entry round of invitation as a PNP applicant, you then have 90 days in the current time frame. Previously it was 60 days time to submit your PR application, your full PR application with IRCC, and that is where you're required to provide all the documents, and then you have to submit your PR application fee as well. IRCC will do its own due diligence, which can take up to about 6 months. Once they complete their process and everything is in place in terms of your application, your PR will be granted, which will be OINP Human Capital Priorities Stream nomination-based PR. And that's where you finally are able to obtain your PR through this PNP program. Now, coming towards some stats, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video. So the province of Ontario tends to have around 8,000 PNP nomination spots every year by the federal government. Being the largest, the most populous province, this is the largest number of spots that a province gets to have. And they invite people under various categories through within this limit. Now, last year in 2020, and this video being made on 27th of Feb 2021, the data, the figures, the facts are current as of this particular date. In 2020, we saw close to about 10 different draws for human capital priority streams, this particular subcategory. Also, we saw 8,000 plus NOIs being issued by the province for various categories, and around 6,700 NOIs were issued specifically for the human capital priority stream. So just emphasizing, underscoring the fact that this is a stream where there is great possibility. A large number of invitations and nominations that the province of Ontario sends out under OINP are in this particular subcategory. So great chance for people, especially for people who are outside of Canada, to qualify for a Canadian PNP through this particular stream. So I kept the most valuable piece of information for the end of the video. That is occupational codes, NOC codes, which have a high chance of being invited and nominated under this PNP stream. As I mentioned earlier in the video, there is a basic eligibility, and it does not state that you need to have a specific knock, or that there are specific knocks which are eligible. But looking at the draws that have happened in last year, or probably I'd say couple of years, there are professions, certain professions which have been invited. So OINP for human capital priority streams conducts two different kinds of draws. One are called the tech draws, and one are called the priority occupation draws. As the name suggests, tech draws are where knock codes, there's a specific number of knock codes which are tech-based knocks, they are invited. And priority occupations is where some other occupations, a lot of them which are business and management related professions, these are invited. So if you have one of these professions, you have a great chance of being invited and nominated under this stream. The professions that are there, if we talk of the tech draws, the professions that we get to see are software engineers and designers, NOC 2173, computer programmers and interactive media developers, NOC 2174, computer engineers, NOC 2147, web designers and developers, NOC 2175, database analysts and data administrators, NOC 2172, and computer and information system managers, NOC 0213. Looking at the priority occupations draw, the professions, the NOC codes that have been invited are 0114, administrative services managers, 0601, corporate sales managers, 1122, professional occupations and business management consulting, 0124, advertising, marketing and public relations managers, 0621, retail and wholesale trade managers, 1111, financial auditors and accountants, 3012, registered nurses and registered psychiatric nurses, 0111, financial managers, 1114, other financial managers, 0651, managers in customer and personal services. With this, I'll conclude the video on human capital priorities stream under OINP, which is one of the largest Canadian PNP programs in 2021 for aspirants of Canadian immigration, specifically people who are outside of Canada. Do share your feedback. Do provide your comments. If you would want to know about other programs, other categories of Canadian immigration, let me know through the comment section. For those of you who are interested in discussing your immigration options directly with me, you can book a consultation. The link will be there on the screen as well as in the description. Book a paid consultation session with me, and we can sit down and discuss your profile, and then I can suggest what possible options you have, or if you do not have very strong options, I can guide you on that, and then you can make a decision as to how to proceed. So that's all for now. Hopefully we'll meet again soon with another video on a topic of Canadian immigration. Till that time, take very good care of yourself and your families. Bye-bye and Allah Hafiz.